In this video, I'm going to explain why most people will never be happy living in the Matrix or this 9 till 5 rat race, this dog-eat-dog world. Now, everybody knows that true happiness is something that comes from within. In other words, life truly is an inside job. You can be in a beautiful relationship, but you can feel jealous and insecure. You can have a shit ton of money in the bank, but you can feel broke and empty. Or you can have a six-pack, have that perfect butt and the beautiful lips, but you could look in the mirror and hate the reflection. My point is, life is an inside job. And what's going on the outside isn't as important as what's going on the inside. Now, let me explain why this is important when we're living in this simulation, this matrix. Life is literally a movie. In other words, what you think you are creating, the stories, the rules, the propaganda that's inside your head is what's creating your version of reality. And your version of reality is completely different to my version of reality. And your version of my version of reality are completely different to everybody else's version of reality on this planet. There's billions of people on this planet, and there are billions of different realities that we're all living by because we're all telling ourselves stories inside our head. And let me explain why this is important. Most of us never chose that version of reality. Most of us never chose the stories that we tell ourselves. In the first 7 years of our lives, we were imprinted with beliefs, with stories. In other words, we were brainwashed by our parents, by the government, by the movies that we watched, and by the Matrix. And this is important because the Matrix is only one version of reality, which is basically you go to school, you get indoctrinated, in other words, you get brainwashed to live in a version of reality that somebody else wants you to live in. Then after school, you get a job and you get paid a certain amount of money for what somebody else tells you what you are worth. And if you're lucky, you'll be able to get yourself a mortgage and quote unquote own a piece of rock which is spinning in space in multiple universes. And if you pay your mortgage off, you might get to live and see your retirement. But unfortunately, because most people have lived in this matrix, stressed themselves out, stuffed themselves with food that the matrix has told them to eat, which is all poisonous crap, they end up getting cancer, dementia, or they end up dying of heart attack before they get to live out their retirement. Now, I don't know about you, but I think that is a very fucked up version of reality. It's a reality that I chose to escape a very, very long time because I knew that it just would never, ever make me happy. Working for somebody else to make them rich, handing my life over and working my arse off just to pay for a mortgage to quote unquote own a piece of rock spinning in space. For some reason, I just realized that that was the biggest scam of all. And I set out on my own little path, on my own little journey and created my own reality. And in the last several years, or actually in the last couple of decades, I've coached thousands of people and helped them escape the matrix and wake up to the stories inside their head. Now, it doesn't mean to say that we're here to fight the matrix. Like, personally, I don't think you're ever going to beat the system. In fact, we probably do need some rules or some kind of system to keep people a little bit in order. Otherwise, people would be out there killing each other, taking everything, stealing everything that they wanted. So I guess in some way, we do need some kind of boundaries or some kind of principles. Let's call it principles to live by. And that's why I'm in this Buddhist temple right now. You know, I'm not Buddhist. I wouldn't call myself spiritual, but I definitely live by some beautiful principles. I just love living by different principles than I was brainwashed to live by. For example, get a good education, get yourself a mortgage, and hopefully you'll get a retirement. I decided to live by principles, what you get in Buddhism, which are love, compassion, peace, and taking full responsibility, and then disciplining yourself to be a greater human being, to live in higher levels of consciousness, and to transcend from the ego into the essence. In other words, get out of your head and all the bullshit, and then get into your heart. And this is why you're never going to be happy living in the matrix. You're never going to be happy if you are living that version of reality where you get a good education, you then get your job, and then you own something which you never ever own. You think about all of the stress and the worry and all of the pressure that people put themselves under to get that mortgage or to buy a bigger car or a bigger house, whatever it is, and it doesn't truly make them happy because happiness Well, number one, happiness is overrated. I actually think it's something created by the Matrix to keep us on this instant gratification or this treadmill, and it makes us seek outside ourselves for joy, for happiness. But the yogis, they taught us thousands of years ago, like 5,000 years ago, they were meditating and they were teaching their people that bliss was inside. There's a energy, there's a consciousness of bliss, which is higher than love, higher than happiness, and even higher than joy. It is called bliss. And this bliss consciousness is what gives you the goosebumps. This bliss consciousness is what empties your mind. This bliss consciousness is the best buzz in the world. And this is coming from somebody that spent most of his life taking a lot of drugs. Well, his first half of his life taking a lot of drugs. There's no better buzz than the bliss that you can find when you close your eyes and you go beyond the matrix, and you also go beyond all the voices that are trapped inside your head. So in other words, this matrix is a story, a version of reality, which is outside of us. And we're told if we live that, then we'll be happy, or that we fit in, or we'll be satisfied. But the truth is, we probably know 99% of the people are not happy, not satisfied, and they don't really enjoy this rat race. It's like, my friend once said to me, you can win the race, but you're still a rat. You're on this treadmill chasing and chasing these mirages in the desert. So this is why I believe you're never going to be happy if you subscribe to the matrix and you live that reality. The question you might be asking yourself, well, how do I tap into this bliss, Brett? How do I escape this matrix? And I'm glad you asked that, because this is what this rant is all about. You master yourself. Like I said, you're never going to beat the system. There's always going to be some kind of rules, or some greedy, powerful, hungry people that are in their ego, that want to control people or want more power. Here's the thing. You might not be able to beat the system, but you can master yourself. When you master yourself, you beat the system. You think about it, freedom is bad business for the system. So it's doing everything within its power to keep people in check, in line. Freedom is bad business for the system, because you can't control a person when they're free. So the real question is, how do you create freedom? And I know it's a cliche, but the cliches are true. Freedom is an inside job. You're not going to create freedom when you get millions in the bank. You're not going to create freedom when you fall in love and get married and sign a piece of paper. You're not going to create that freedom when you get the six-pack and that health in the body. All of that stuff is amazing, and we enjoy it while we're here. We play the game, we enjoy the matrix, but we don't want to get lost in it thinking that that is the answer to our problems. So the freedom that we truly desire and crave is an inside job. Let me give you a true example from my life, right? I live in Thailand, on the beach, beautiful life, money in the bank account, had some amazing relationships, but there have been times when my mental health has taken over, and depressing moods and suicidal thoughts have really taken me hostage. Now, I'm kind of one of these positive people, very happy-go-lucky, and I always take full control of my emotions and my thoughts. And so when that kicks in, it shocks me, because I realise there's still a lot more work to do. You can be super positive, you can have everything on the outside, but when that monkey mind takes over, or these shadows or traumas from childhood come in, or they're starting to be released when you're ready to release them, it's scary. You know, I think we've all experienced these depressing moods and these unworthy feelings, or feeling this self-loathing and this criticising voice inside their head. And it isn't nice. And you do need to reach out to people. But the reason why I said that is because I had the money in the bank account. I was living literally 10 steps away from the beach. I was practicing yoga. I was super healthy, in beautiful relationships. But yet, I still wasn't happy. Something inside wasn't aligned. Something wasn't right. Now, on the flip side, I've had no money in the bank account. I've been single for years. I've been eating way too much cake, and I've got a little bit of a belly. And I've been the happiest person I've ever met. Like, extremely beyond happiness, like pure bliss. And I'm not saying this to brag or to show off. I'm simply pointing out that this joy, this bliss, this consciousness is an inside job. And I listened to something the other day, and it was saying that we shouldn't allow our emotions, our feelings and our thoughts to be triggered by this external reality. We want to have self-mastery, so that, this was by a guy called Joseph Murphy. If you ever get the opportunity to read his stuff, it's incredible. But basically, you want to master your inner reality so that you don't get triggered by people, by places, by numbers in a bank account, by news, or by these pesky politicians that are talking shit. You don't want to get triggered by that stuff, because if you're being triggered, and if your emotions and your thoughts are dependent on the external reality, you're literally like a puppet. and they pull your strings. And so we want to master the inner self. And I'm not talking like an egotistical way of like being a masculine man where you've got to man up and master your inner self. Sometimes you've got to go into the self-love and you've got to sink into the yin rather than this yang. Sometimes you've got to face the depressing moods and welcome the shadows and look at your traumas. And in my experience, this whole journey has been about a lot of self-love and self-healing. So when I say master yourself, it's not like this egotistical Andrew Tate, master yourself, nothing against you, Andrew Tate, but like, that's all cool. That's his lane. Let him stay in that. My lane is all about mastering yourself through love. And yeah, sometimes you've got to tell yourself to not be a bitch. Sometimes you've got to have a good old chat with your voice inside your head and crack on. But most of the time, you've got to sink into the softness of love. You've got to come back to the peace, because the only way the Matrix is going to control you is through the stories inside your head, through the rules and the propaganda that's imprinted in your parents and in their parents. Like for generations, this has been going on. And the only way to escape this matrix is to go within and master yourself inside. And that is when you find true bliss. Like, forget about happiness. Happiness comes and goes when you get stuff, or when you make some money, or when you meet people, or a relationship. That's just happiness. It's fleeting. I'm talking about bliss. It's what the Buddha talked about, the middle way. It's when you're just in a state of wonder, appreciation and gratitude for no other reason that you're breathing and you're on a rock spinning in space in multiple universes, that you are, quote unquote, alive, having some kind of experience. And when you start to really tap into this, the matrix just melts away. It's silly, it fades away, and it can't trigger you. You become the master of your internal emotions and thoughts that you think. And then the journey is about self-mastery. Then it's about releasing the shadows, looking at traumas. It's about looking at limiting beliefs. It's about understanding who you are on the inside. And here's what I've discovered. That when you master this self and you truly go inside and feel that bliss and that freedom, and you can feel wealth, you can feel love, you can feel joy, as if by magic, life starts to change on the outside. Like I said, life is wrapping itself around you, not the other way. You shouldn't be letting life trigger you, or other people triggering and pushing your buttons, like the news, the media, the celebrities, the politicians, your parents, your relationships, even your children. What we must do is close our eyes every day. It's a daily practice. Connect to the infinite intelligence, the power that is within you. And I know it sounds like a bit of a sci-fi movie, and I'm not being too spiritual, but it's just common sense. For me, spirituality is simply about waking up. You can have all the the yoga tattoos and the man buns, and you can do all the spiritual stuff, but true spirituality is about waking up from the matrix, looking inside yourself and reconnecting to the infinite intelligence that's buzzing inside you. It's the best drug in the world. It's buzzing inside you. And if you don't believe that there's some kind of infinite intelligence inside you, and you can call that God, high power, label it what you want. I'm not really into labels. But if you don't believe that there's an infinite intelligence buzzing inside you, then how does your heart beat? How is your lungs breathing right now? And how is your brain doing what your brain is doing? It's an intention. It's an infinite intelligence. Like, if there is a God, it's imagination. If there is a God, it is love inside you. If there is a God, it's the infinite intelligence within you. Not in the sky, not in some books, not in a church or a temple. It's in you. And that, to me, is what waking up is all about. Reconnecting to that. Reconnecting and trusting this infinite intelligence and feeling it. It's the best buzz in the world. And when you feel it and you master it, you don't need the love. You don't need the relationship. You don't need the money. You don't need to fight and change other people and nitpick and judge. You come back to a place of pure love and pure joy and pure peace, and you accept everything. And then you can enjoy the love. Then you can enjoy the relationship. Then you can enjoy the money and the wealth. Then you can enjoy the freedom externally. But please, please, please remember, you're never going to be happy if you live in the matrix, because the matrix is getting you to focus outside of yourself and change the external reality, or chase the mirage in the desert to be happy, which is the biggest illusion on this planet. Going to school, getting this education, getting a mortgage, getting a good job, getting paid, doing all that stuff, it's the biggest scam on the earth. But however, it's only one version of a reality. Now, it's a very powerful version of reality, because there's some very wealthy people that want to keep you in that reality so that they can stay at the top. I'm not going to get into that, but it's just obvious. It's a very powerful version of reality, but your power within you is so much bigger, and you can escape that rat race. However you need to do it, you make sure that you go inside yourself through yoga, meditation, self-reflection, self-inquiry. And if you want to go deep, like click the link in the bio underneath or the description below this video and join me on a journey of deep transformation. I'll show you how to escape that matrix for the rest of your life. I will show you how to master your thoughts and your emotions. Doesn't mean to say that you're not going to have a bad moment or a wobble or triggers, but it's going to show you how to cut those strings so that you're not a puppet being pulled and pushed around by society or by other people or even your own bullshit ego. You're going to be free and step into this bliss. If you're somebody that wants to go very, very deep and you're ready for change and you're truly ready to awaken, or you're ready to serve other people and get onto this journey of raising a level of consciousness, click that link in the button below and remember that happiness is overrated. Bliss is what we are looking for, and it's inside us. It's like a buried treasure. Most people are searching outside, they've got a map, they're running around, chasing, looking for this buried treasure, when all along it's inside us. The treasure is in you. It's inside you. So look within. Click the link in the button below if you want to go deeper, if you want my help. I'll show you how to do it, and we will set you free for eternity, and we will turn life into the best buzz. I get goosebumps when I make these videos because I'm genuinely buzzing, and I want you to feel that too. Have an amazing day. If you like this video, got any comments, leave them below. Click that button, and I'll see you in the transformation program where we'll awaken together. Have an amazing day.